production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
And PNC, committed to Central Ohio, for the achiever in you.
This time on Broad and High, meet a Reynoldsburg sculptor who makes a living carving ghouls in gourds. Explore the expansive art collection at the newly renovated Columbus Convention Center.
We have about 200 pieces representing 150 artists, and they are all from Central Ohio.
And watch a crafty performance artist get, well, felt up. This and more right now on Broad and High. Hey everyone, I'm Kate Quickle and welcome to Broad and High. We first met Reynoldsburg artist Dean Arnold back in 2013 when the graphic designer was dabbling in a new creative hobby. Well, in the past few years, he has carved out quite a niche for himself in the world of extreme pumpkin sculpting.
When we first met, the sculpted pumpkins were new to me. I only kind of had the barest idea of what kind of tools to use. I had no idea about facial anatomy or anything like that. But since then, it's totally stopped being a hobby. Now I'm a professional dilettante.
This guy's got skills.
I've been hired by Villafane Studios. Got to be pretty good friends with Ray Villafane. When I saw Ray's pumpkins the first time, they're jaw-dropping. You look at these things and you just go, you know, they're startling. Ray brought me out to Arizona for his premiere event, is the Enchanted Pumpkin Garden in Carefree, Arizona. Anybody who's familiar with Phoenix or Scottsdale is going to know about Carefree and the desert gardens, and just, you know, ask somebody where the sundial is and they probably know where we're talking about. We set up pumpkin vignettes everywhere. We've got sets, we've got characters, we've got little stories going on. Starting into it, I'm thinking of it the way most people do, which is, I think this is a jack-o'-lantern and I'm doing an extreme jack-o'-lantern. What was really getting people's attention, beyond the fact that it's an orange pumpkin and they recognize that, was the nuance of the expressions that I was putting into them. So, you know, I can do or something like that, but if I do this, you know, if I carve a face that's kind of subtle, that gets more appreciation, I guess. And so then I started to realize, well, okay, how can I get better faces? How can I get better expressions? At that point, I was starting to realize that there was more discipline going to be involved in this than simply just hacking away with art tools. I really had to start approaching it from more of a sculpting perspective. Last November, came home from pumpkins, no more pumpkins, okay, let's go to clay. I started with a Frankenstein bust. Started with a couple of classic monsters. The one that I did most recently was Medusa. Lots of snakes all over her head. I'm always looking for things that interest me. And the things that interest me the most are the things that look fun.
Follow Dean Arnold on Facebook or Instagram, where you can see all of his creatively carved ghouls and gourds. If you haven't been down to the Convention Center lately, it might be time for you to pay it a visit. It is now home to the largest collection of local artwork in Franklin County, and it's a great way to experience the breadth of this city's creative talent.
We have about 900,000 people come through this center each year. And we are now a gateway to the Short North, so it only made sense to have artwork reflected there. We have about 200 pieces representing 150 artists, and they are all from Central Ohio.
I'm born and raised in Ohio. I'm Columbus. I was born and raised on the southeast side of town. I went to CCAD, and my freshman year I took this fashion design course. We took a field trip to one of those fabric stores. I don't know if it was Joann's or whatever, and I saw this one particular fabric that I saw, and for some reason I said, I'm going to buy this fabric, and one day I'm going to do something with it. And then it kind of progressed to what you have today. The fabric that I use, a wide range of fabrics. Mainly it's leather and suede. Those are pretty much my base fabrics. I go through so many X-Acto blades. I pretty much make sure that I keep at least 2 packs on hand. The piece today that I'm working on is actually another commission piece. We're going to do a picture of a jazz singer. And he wants it to be done in just all denim. So that's going to be interesting. It's sort of a challenge, but I'm up for it.
You've got to have Amina Robinson. She's one of the leading artists that came from Columbus, Ohio. The Rag-and-Ons are the long, like rectangular paintings that just rag on and on. That's how she came up with the name. And this one is about Mount Vernon Avenue, which of course she grew up over on Mount Vernon Avenue. And so this street, which was one of the central avenues of the African American community earlier in the 20th century, she wanted to know it intimately and historically in ways that she knew both personally but also historically. And so you'll see in the painting there's all the characters that she identified as part of the businesses that were part of Mount Vernon Avenue, and then the characters, the people that were part of it. One of the great things is on the lower left corner when you face the piece, everybody needs to look for Amina herself. She painted herself in the picture. But the idea is for us to be able to keep an Amina Robinson on exhibition at the Convention Center. This is part of our legacy as an entire community, the wonderful artists that lived here and worked here.
I'm from LaGrange, Ohio. So I have lived there my entire life until recently. I'm moving here to Columbus to earn my MFA at CCAD, Columbus College of Art and Design. I am 73 years old. Every time I say that, it's so hard to believe. Part of the things that I paint is absurdity. I want you to be surprised and maybe laugh a little. It's okay if you laugh at my work. And see this element, like why is this wallpaper in the sky, which has a level of absurdity to it. So this is, first off, this is a photograph that I took of a farm, of an Amish farm. And this is a Grant Wood painting. But I've been playing with this idea of bringing the sky and making it a wallpaper. So I kind of layered, I borrowed from Grant Wood, I borrowed from this wonderful Amish farm, and then put my own little spin to it with my landscape. And it's interesting, one of my friends said the other day, like, your landscapes are so flat. Well, up where I live, it is so flat. When I grew up, I thought that's the only way land came. Flat.
We have a very exciting, huge art piece, a sculpture done by a local artist, Matthew Moore.
I have been working on this project for 2 years. To describe it, it is a 14-foot, three-dimensional LED head that essentially allows people to go inside the back of the neck and sit down and get a three-dimensional picture of them. And then when they step out, their portrait is displayed on the 14-foot head. So the idea is to show Columbus as a welcoming, diverse community.
I think personalizing our convention center to our community wasn't my idea. I wish I could take credit for that. It was not my idea, but I think it was an incredible idea.
I don't think there are very many there are very many convention centers that have this, and I have a feeling that this may inspire a trend. I don't know.
Stop by the Convention Center to explore its expansive art collection, and while you're there, check out that new interactive LED sculpture. You can also learn more about the artists and take a virtual tour of the collection by visiting meetusincolumbus.com. The artist in our next story is known for combining traditional craft techniques with activism to create what she calls performance crafting. She hopes to generate conversations about gender and identity while creating community through collaboration. All of these themes were represented in one of her latest projects, where she quite literally got felt up.
Because you could still like move my legs, get under my legs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe you should lay down.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get this part.
Get the backs of the legs first, though.
You shouldn't pre-make a bunch of hot water things. It's gonna get hot. Because it's gonna get cold.
I don't think this has ever been done before, ever.
It's never ever been done.
I think you just need to be constantly like warm water. Otherwise, I'm gonna not last very long. Okay, you're ready. It's ready. Okay.
Big pieces going first?
The big pieces are gonna go on first. You're gonna dry rub the general body shape, and then you'll start getting it wet, and then start putting on patches to cover important parts first. I'm always questioning what I'm doing, what the next thing should be, how I am pushing my own boundaries and the boundaries of my medium, and be an innovator, not just in the way that I use materials, but in context. I had been thinking about doing things that were more personal, but then also doing things that were performative, and taking craft into the streets. Materials and craft are materials that we intrinsically connect to as humans, and I think that's what's really amazing about wool. When it's used in a different way, people are very shocked by it, but people are immediately connected to it. I grew up in Tijuana, living in Tijuana, but going to school in San Diego. For 14 years, I crossed the border every single day. Going through that experience, I witnessed the huge difference between really bright, really loud, very textural Tijuana, and then very minimal and calm and organized San Diego. Influenced the way that I turned out to be a very visual person. My work is very craft-centric, it's very process-centric, it's very material-centric. The felt chairs, which are behind me, were part of that process of me trying to look at something that was very industrial, very cold, and very impermanent, because it's something that's always folded and put away, and turning it into something that was permanent, you're forced to live with because you can't fold it anymore. It's no longer cold, it's warm, it's inviting, it's comfortable. It's something that takes at least 25 hours of hand rubbing to get the wool to make a skin around the object. So beyond the end result being this pretty thing that has this new fuzzy coat on it, the process of making it is the part that's the most important to me. Chairs are very anthropomorphic, and it's something where people are always talking about the back, about the legs, and they always associate it with human form. People are always like, can you felt me? And so it's always this really weird thing. And so I thought, well, if that's what they want, then what if we did do it? You know, how would people react? That's the beginnings of me being felted. A lot of it was about the artist as object and artists being objectified by other people. What happened to me psychologically when I forced myself to become an object. I really wanted it to be a big participatory event. I wanted everybody to be hands-on involved, and I wanted to, in a weird way, let them into my world. My friend Amy and I were talking about it, and she was like, we could just put it on Craigslist and see what type of people come and what type of people would be drawn to hand felting a person, you know? And then when I thought about it, I was like, no, I don't think we could do that. I really wanted to have some people I really trusted to be part of the process.
When she was standing up, I mean, that was really peculiar. When you think about it, I mean, I don't know, is this what kind of an experience is this for her? Does it hurt? Is it sexual? Is it exciting? Is it boring? Have you ever had this much attention for a few hours? Of course not.
Should we just do a ninja? No. You want the whole face?
You don't have gauze or anything?
Should have put goggles. Yeah, you should have put goggles. That is a good idea. Should we get some now?
Or those little like tanning things?
Yeah. Marisa, can you give me the spray thing? Okay.
As soon as my face was covered and then I became an actual object, everything just really changed, I think, for all of us. And that's when it started to become a little bit more like, oh my God. And it's weird because at that point, I don't feel like I was part of that experience at all. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what people's reactions were. I could just kind of see shadows of people coming in and out and people looking outside the window. I was completely not present in that entire performance.
Oh, it's so scary. Because it's just like a body. It doesn't look like a person.
Okay, what kind of signal can you give us if you're not okay?
She's an object.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for that.
Totally naked.
You can breathe?
It was so incredible, just the whole look of it. She's so actively involved in the making of all of her pieces, and I thought the thing that was so amazing about this piece was that she wasn't doing it. Really, in a way, relinquishing the control. It was very personal.
I think a lot of people felt really uncomfortable with being that close to me and engaging with my skin. Nobody really surrounded me. Everybody was just lined up against the wall, which really added to this whole experience of being an object. When I talked to some of the people that were helping, they told me, well, you know, you weren't naked, you were covered in wool, so we never thought of you as naked, like you're wearing a sweater. But I felt really, really naked the entire time. And every time I would look down, I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm totally naked, being rubbed by all these people. And so it felt at times very intrusive, very uncomfortable, very vulnerable. I was starting to feel like I had to meditate through not going into hypothermia at one point. It was just a very physically and emotionally demanding thing to do.
When Tanya felt it herself, in a way, even though the form was clear, it was one of the most abstracted pieces I've seen Tanya do. It isn't like you see an Eames chair or a folding chair and immediately recognize what it is that's been transformed. One of the things that was the most fascinating to me was when she was being taken out of it. Seeing this body laying in effigy, the sort of shroud of Tanya, it was amazing to look at the piece.
I think it's really awesome that the feet and the hands and the head are so structural. Now that, you know, I've been around it every day, as it's drying, as we kind of lay it out to see what it looks like, whenever I forget about what it is and what it represents, and I see it through the corner of my eye, it's really weird because it has such a personality. I walked into the studio and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, that person's legs look like mine. And then I was like, oh my God, those are my legs. And so it's really weird to see yourself in an object so directly. And so I started to kind of relate to it in a really different way where it's its own being. The more time goes on that I'm away from the actual experience of doing it, it's something that is really important to my development as an artist, to my growth as a person. And so I don't want it to be one singular event or expression. I'm kind of thinking about doing it again, but in a totally different way. We don't know yet.
Imagine like standing against a telephone pole there and getting felted in place and having them have to deal with, okay, she's felted here, what do we do?
The Phoenix Project, by internationally acclaimed Chinese artist Xu Bing, was the artist's response to witnessing primitive working conditions at construction sites in Beijing. His giant steel birds are made of construction and demolition debris such as shovels, jackhammers, and even cement. They weigh a massive 12 tons, but they look like they're defying gravity as they soar inside the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine in New York City.
The cathedral's a work of art itself, but it can create an extraordinary venue where the visual art that's put under the roof of the cathedral can be not only amplified, but also in some ways rediscovered by people so that they can educate their imagination, critiquing the world as it is, but also reimagining the world as it could be. You look at these phoenixes and you may not at first realize these birds are sculptures created out of junk, debris, and they become beautiful. They tell a story about people who were throwaways, discards, people who were used and not cared for. And our eyes are potentially opened.
In 2008, Xu Bing, after about 19 years living in America and specifically living in New York and in Williamsburg, returned to China. Soon after he arrived back, he was invited to make a piece for a new building going up in the Central Business District. What he saw at the site, because the building was just being constructed, alarmed him and disturbed him. And he decided to accept the commission, and his first inspiration being the workers and the condition of workers. I like to think of it as being about his reaction to China today. So it's a piece made out of the remnants of the past about the future. Late in 2008, China is getting ready for the Olympics, and all construction stops. There's no debris anymore. There's nothing for him to pick up. They want the air to be clean, they want everything to be perfect, and there's just no material. But much more devastating was the world financial crisis. And as happens with many commissions, it falls through. Finally, a Taiwanese collector comes, Barry Lam, who says, I will finance this. The interesting thing about the Phoenix is that it changes wherever it is. When it was in Beijing against the skyline of that city, which is so big, the Phoenix looked quite small. And when it was at Mas-Mocha, it looked like a lumbering creature, and it was low to the ground, and it looked very animate, and it looked very worn. But in the cathedral, its spiritual aspect comes out.
I think he saw extraordinary dimensionality, and he liked the size of the cathedral, he liked its height, he liked the soaring arches.
The Phoenixes came this January on what was maybe the coldest week in decades, snowstorm. They came down on 11 trucks. They came in pieces. The two great birds were lined up in the nave of the cathedral in the order in which they were going to be hung. The whole process took more than 10 days. It weighs, combined, 12 tons. It measures together 200 feet. You've got saws, and you've got drills, and you've got shovels, and you've got ribbons. And the most amazing thing that you have is big chunks of concrete, because these birds look so light. He covers the whole bird with the LED lights. So we've got this bird made of tools and heavy working materials. But by putting these filigreed lights all over them, they look like they're flying. In Western mythology, the phoenix is a symbol of resurrection and renewal. In Chinese mythology, it's second only to the dragon as a powerful symbol. And it's a symbol of unity and a symbol of grace. So whichever myth you choose, the cathedral seemed like a perfect place.
That's our show. Remember, you can revisit all of our stories at WOSU.org, as well as on the WOSU Public Media mobile app. And of course, give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're closing out today's show with the melodic sounds of Ohio-based band Paper Airplane. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week on Broad and High.
And all the things I've seen, but as the world passes me by, I'll just hang my head inside, try to make sense of all the things that are running through my brain.
I see or hear or read things that interest me all the time.
Whenever inspiration hits, I try to capture it.
It's the power to generate real and lasting social change.
I don't ever give up. Even when I doubt myself, I keep going.
The notes and words come to me from everywhere.
I am blessed to have the trust and freedom to explore with my colleagues. This type of synergy is something very special.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
And PNC, committed to Central Ohio, for the achiever in you.